Feed the soil within you. You drumbeat, you shimmering leaf. Listen to the sound of sunlight. Live a life that's worth your grief. Turn toward your life. What's coming now is all that's left. I'm Adrienne. I'm a storyteller, I'm a singer. I believe we live on an abundant earth, and I'm a future doula and a gardener of ideas. What I want to share with you today are little tastes of 4 ideas that I think we need to lean into in this moment. I write books, so it's very frustrating whenever I'm like, oh, how do I fit a book into a little morsel? So I wrote notes, because otherwise I would just go off. The 4 ideas I'm going to try to taste you into are emergent strategy, pleasure activism, transformative justice, and radical imagination. They're good ideas, I promise. We are caught in the world that someone imagined for us, where some of us are seen as superior and where the earth is seen as a resource that can give and give without anything being given back. We have to be in an imagination battle. We have to dream and remember and tell stories where all of us get to be home. So far, the only story we have mastered, the only thing that we have actually learned to recycle over and over again is a story of death and destruction and dystopia. And I love it. I stay up too late watching it. But in the stories we need to start to tell of the future, we have to imagine all of us there with safety, dignity, and belonging. The problem is never the earth. She's always the source and the solution. So we have to remember how to be earthlings. So I write science fiction and visionary fiction on my own and in collaboration with others, with the lineage of Octavia Butler, who is right here from California, Black sci-fi writer. And if you've been reading her work, you know that she predicted that the shit really hits the fan in 2024. Here we are. The second idea I'm going to give you a taste of is transformative justice. Some talk about it as abolition, but I think the transformation is the part, going to the root and actually saying we need to change how we are. We live inside of interlocking systems of oppression. These systems only work because we uphold them inside ourselves and between us. Rather than canceling each other for every way that we're embodying the systems, we need to help break each other out of these systems and find ways to course correct for our country and our species together. When we turn on each other, the systems actually persist. They go underground. The rapists hide. The people who are polluting our planet, they hide, and they just go elsewhere. But when we actually heal each other and bring it all into the light, those systems become irrelevant. That's what we actually need right now. For the planet's sake and for our life on it, we need to hold on to each other and grow our souls, as Grace Lee Boggs taught us. I have a lot of mentors. I'm not going to list them all, but one ancestor I often call on is Toni Cade Bambara. She said the role of the artist is to make the revolution irresistible. Another brilliant artist, Audre Lorde, she taught us that there's a massive power in the erotic. So now I'm moving into the pleasure activism part. Now, I know that for those of us who are paying any attention to the climate, there's only terror and fear, and that's intelligent. That's because we're smart. We pay attention to science, right? So we've all been responsible for articulating how bad it is and how terrifying it is, and I think we've tried that, and it hasn't worked. Unfortunately, when people are not paying attention, they don't want to be scared, and so trying to scare them isn't working. So we have to figure out a way to articulate a future that people can imagine themselves in, loving, and feeling satisfied. Now, that doesn't always mean sexual rewards for composting, although it can. It really can. I have created so many composters in my life. But it absolutely does need to mean telling stories of communities that are thriving, of overflowing gardens, of thick, nourishing soil and naked naps after shared work, sustainable lives, stunning hot tubs full of rainwater from a healthy sky. We have to grow the longing in our people for a world where everyone gets to experience the good, not just some of us, because that some of us is getting smaller and smaller, right? But we can imagine a world in which all of us make more and more joy, pleasure, belonging. These kinds of good feelings are not frivolous. They are actually measures of freedom, and they're measures of our collective well-being, of how we're caring for each other. So invite people to come feel good with you. Imagine a future in which your grandchildren feel good, not Mad Max. I mean, I love Mad Max, but that's not where I want to live. So the fourth idea is emergent strategy, which is, I think, how do we get there? Emergence is, as articulated by Nick Obolinski, is the way complex patterns and systems arise out of relatively small actions. We have been trained to make 5-year plans and try to make grand gestures, and often they don't work. The plan goes in the drawer and nobody changes. We even change the policy, but we don't change our behavior. Emergent strategy is saying one cell will split and become 2 cells, will become 4 cells, will slowly emerge into the city of Los Angeles, right? These things happen whether we want them to or not. We determine if we can do it with intention. Change is inevitable. We decide which changes we are going to be in. Right? So, oh, that was a good line. I said, okay, we're gonna say this line. I didn't say LA. I said bustling communities where our cars move the highways like blood cells and we have lungs that breathe like trees. That's better than just saying LA. So we have to get good at facing reality and then imagining beyond it. We have to get good at adapting with intention. So far, we've gotten really good at reacting, and our political landscape for the last 10 years or so has been constant reacting to crisis. So now we're starting to think in only urgent, short-term ways. We have to remember how to think 7 generations. I was so glad for Jody sharing that. We have to remember how to think long-term and non-urgently, even in urgent conditions, because we have to make solutions that are not going to work just for us for 1 year, for 4 years, right? We have to think long-term. How are we going to make a world that our children's children can play in? Okay? We have to shift from lonely and unnatural hyper-independence to healthy, boundaried interdependence on a shared earth. We have to understand that justice and freedom and sustainability don't just naturally occur. There's not someone else who's just going to handle it for us. There's a non-linear, cumulative process of us taking responsibility for our lives, us taking responsibility for shifting culture, for shifting policy. We have to trust that there's not going to be one way or one agenda or one answer. This is the saddest thing. I've done movement work for 25 years. I was a facilitator, and every meeting, it would be everyone trying to convince each other that their one thing was the one thing. We need all the things, right? The healthiest ecosystems are the biodiverse ecosystems. That's the same for us. And you don't see oaks out there being like, ooh, ostrich, you're being a really bad oak. Right? Mushrooms aren't out here trying to feel insecure because they're not ferns. We have to each occupy our lanes, occupy the work that we're meant to do. That means that some of the work is electoral and some of it is direct action. Some of it is organizing and some of it is art. And none of it works on its own. So don't talk any kind of badness about what someone else is working on. Stay in your lane. Do what feels comfortable for you. Maybe you'll try electoral organizing like I did, and you'll realize that they are not paying any attention to us, and you'll get in the streets and get arrested, and you'll do something else. But no judgment, whatever works for you, right? So it requires intention. Right now, we can't afford to get distracted. And it's not a given that we'll have a livable earth for even one more generation right now. There are multiple genocides unfolding. Genocide is a climate issue. War, bombing, mass shootings, none of this is good for the earth. This forced migration of war is not good for the earth, right? So our country is the most out of alignment with the future right now. We have to be humble. We are used to being the ones who export the solutions and tell everyone what to do. We need to learn to listen to the global South, to our indigenous communities, to people who know still how to live with this earth. I have a podcast called How to Survive the End of the World. I'm kind of obsessed with this. I want us to make it. And over again, the answer that we hear is that community is the way. Community telling new stories, love stories that center the earth and the people on it. I'm inviting you to join me to tell these stories in every way you can, to tell them to everyone you can, from your grandma to your kid, to someone you're making a film for, to the person on the bus. We need to become evangelists for this future. We need to fall in love with it. We need to know we need to make it inevitable. I love you all. I'll see you later.